This quick video looks at embedding GCSE Pod into schemes of work and schemes of learning. The benefits of doing this are many, but the main one is to save time. If you can give your colleagues quick access to quality exam board specific resources, it's going to save them time once they hit that busy term. You can also reduce workload by using self-marking pre-created assignments, or if you've already created assignments on GCSE Pod, you can copy them between your colleagues. This can help improve consistency as well, particularly if you've got non-specialists in your department or perhaps NQTs. You can also use GCSE Pod to develop your scheme of learning to support all learners, and if you use interleaving as a strategy, you can incorporate related and relevant topics alongside your lesson plans. Finally, by embedding GCSE Pod into your daily teaching, you're more likely to make it a go-to resource for students once they get to exam time. So what we're going to do is take an example part of a scheme of work. This is one on English poem by Wilfred Owen. And let's look at how we can incorporate GCSE Pod in. So on the left here, we've got the learning objectives, we've got the lesson outline, some resources. And you'll notice these are fairly typical. We've got a fact sheet, some highlighters, and a copy of the poem. So if we log on to GCSE Pod, we can find some relevant materials. So I'm now logged in as a teacher, and first of all let's try and find the poem. So we're just going to click the search, type in the poem's name and see if we can find it. So it should search all subject areas and then find a match. So there we go, this is the poem, and clearly this is part of the English subject area. Brilliant. So we've got some various different resources here. We've got a few videos covering about 21 minutes, but obviously we can pick and choose. We might particularly be interested in the context, so that's one that we can highlight in our scheme of work. So let's get the link and copy this, and then go over to our scheme of work and just paste that link here. Now we might want to add a little bit of a reminder on what this is, so we'll just put GCSE Pod link to relevant pods on the poem, like so. Now once the teacher clicks on this link, it will take them straight back to this web page, so they can use that as a starter at the end of the lesson to consolidate knowledge and so on. So the next thing we'll do is look at the lesson outcomes. So one of them here is to get a reasonable knowledge of World War I. So because GCSE Pod covers 21 subjects, we can actually dip into subjects outside of English. So let's type in a word relevant to this poem, which is trenches. And we can now go in and look at any videos across the site that might be relevant. So this one looks good, and if we click on it, we can see actually this video is coming from the history subject, and it's part of a playlist on the First World War. So there are a couple of videos in here. We've got an overview of the trenches and life in the trenches. So let's get the link for that and just copy that. Go back to our scheme of work, and this time we'll put GCSE Pod pods on historical context. There we go. So we now have two relevant playlists that we can use in this lesson, and that's the beauty of GCSE Pod, is that it offers opportunities for interdisciplinary teaching and supports cross-curricular learning as well. So let's move on then and look at the homework. So currently we don't have any homework for this lesson. Now there are various different types of homework you can set. You might want to use GCSE Pod to differentiate independent learning. So for example, it might be appropriate for some students to be tasked with using GCSE Pod to research around the topic or subject area. So they might be tasked to use the GCSE Pod website to develop their overall knowledge of a topic. So in this particular instance, we might ask the students to research World War I on GCSE Pod. If we want to, we can add an assignment for either the whole class or some of our class, which is just testing their knowledge about the poem and potentially about World War I as well. So let's hop back onto the GCSE Pod site. And this time we're going to look at an assignment. So an assignment can be accessed in the menu along the top. And an assignment is basically a combination of videos for the students to watch to refresh their knowledge and questions for them to answer to test their knowledge. So I won't go into the detail on setting an assignment in this video. You'll see at the bottom of the page there are already videos that you can watch to work out how to create an assignment. Instead, what we'll do is look at one I've created before. So if we go into drafts, you'll see here's an assignment on the poem. And if we want to have a quick look at it, you just click continue editing. And you can see that this assignment is made up of some videos that the students can watch, and then some questions relevant to the poem that they can answer. And these are actually all multiple choice, so this assignment will be marked automatically, so the student gets instant feedback. So let's just go back to the assignment, and what you might have spotted is that next to the assignment name there is a code. That code will help other teachers in your department find this assignment quickly. So let's just copy this code into our scheme of work. And in the homework section, we're going to say use GCSE pod assignment and then put in the code. Now, what would happen is when a teacher comes to use that assignment, they would go onto the GCSE pod website, they would click assignments in the menu along the top, and then click view and copy other teachers' assignments. And by doing that, they get a search bar. They can type in that code and it will bring the assignment straight up. And then to use that assignment, they just click duplicate. That will create a copy and they can set that for their class. Now the other option is to use a ready-made assignment. Now these are called Ready, Set, Go, and at the moment we don't cover all subject areas, but we are working on that. At the moment we cover English, Maths and Science. And these assignments have been created by specialists in these subjects. So let's have a look at an English one. So what we can see is that we've got different assignments for different parts of, this is actually the English language course. And just as an example, if you were teaching a lesson on punctuation or on descriptive writing, what you could do is have a look using the preview at the assignment before you decide to use it. But to flag it in your scheme of work, you can simply take the name of the assignment and then put that into your scheme of work. So you could say GCSE pod, ready, set, go, assignment, and then paste in the name. And that means it's really easy for anyone looking at this scheme of work to find that assignment. And of course, to set it, all they need to do is select it there. And because the assignment has already got the videos for the students to watch and questions for them to answer, the only thing that your colleagues will need to do is choose which class that assignment needs to go out to. All right, so we've looked through now adding resources, and some of these are interdisciplinary, and we've added some various homework assignments. And of course, you could then add right at the bottom some flipped learning activities. So if you wanted the students to prepare something ready for the next lesson, you could add that in at the bottom here as well, and add a link to the videos they should watch, which will introduce them to the next topic.